So if you're looking for a prosumer level mini DV camcorder that has very good video quality to it and also takes pretty decent pictures, then I might have a great little camcorder here for you today. Hey there, welcome back to my camera collection. In today's video, we're going to be checking out the JVC GR-DV2000. Now, if you're new to this channel, we will be going around and talking about the specs on this camera. We'll look at the features on it. I'll give you some of my opinions on it. And at the end of the video, we will look at some of the test footage on it. Let's get into today's video. So yes, this is the JVC GR-DV2000. Been a while since I've looked at a JVC camcorder. And this one was a part of the bundle of cameras that I had. It was like 14 different cameras that I had. This is one of the ones that I actually ended up working, so I figured I would keep it and make a review on it. And this camera is from 2001, and the original price for this guy when it first came out was $2,200. It actually has I find kind of rare, it has a 3.5-inch LCD screen on it, and it's actually a pretty nice LCD screen on it. It actually does pretty well in sunlight as well, so if you're outside filming and it's really bright outside, you can actually still see an image on it very well. I will get to more on the LCD screen here in a bit. It also has a 0.44-inch colored viewfinder on it that pulls out and comes up like so. So if it is too bright out, you can use that and get a better image out of it. Now, it doesn't actually have the eye cup for it. That's kind of a bummer, but I'm not able to find another eye cup for it anywhere online. It's actually still very usable without the eye cup though. It's just you can't really put your eye up against it. It also has electric image stabilization on it, so it's not optical, and it has a 1/4-inch progressive scan CCD sensor in it, and it creates 680,000 pixels, so that's pretty high for the pixels on it for only being a single CCD sensor. It has a pretty low optical zoom on it at 10 times optical zoom, but you can also choose between a 40 times digital zoom and a 300 times digital zoom, and those don't look great. You can get away with the 40 a little bit, but the 300 times digital zoom doesn't look great. It's got a few different picture modes on it if you want to be able to take pictures with your camcorder. It has a XA VGA mode and a UXGA mode. So the UXGA mode creates a resolution at 1600 by 1200. The XGA mode has a resolution of 1024 by 768, and the VGA mode has a resolution of 640 by 480. The maximum shutter speed on this camcorder is honestly crazy low. It's only 1 and 250. And with any camera, the minimum shutter speed on it is 1 and 4. But you do have manual focus, manual white balance, and manual exposure on this camera. And it actually has a lot of different digital effects in it. I won't go over all of them, but I'll tell you some of the ones that it does have that quite a lot of other camcorders have. So you got mosaic, sepia, black and white, classic film, strobe, and many other ones. And those are just some of the specs that I could find around online. We'll go ahead and check out the physical features on this camcorder. So we'll start off at the lens. Like I said before, it does have a 10 times optical zoom on it and a 300 times digital zoom. It also has a 52mm lens thread diameter on it. So if you want to run a fisheye or some form of a wide angle lens, if you want to film skateboarding or anything like that, that's the size you need. So if you have a Sony VX1000 or a Sony VX3 or a Sony VX700, those all have 52mm lens thread diameters on them. So if you already have one of those cameras, you could pick up one of these cameras and the fisheye will hook up the exact same on it. And it does have a detachable lens hood on it. It just screws on, and it's silver and plastic here. It definitely makes the camera look a lot cooler, so I'll put the lens hood back on there. But it is nice because you do have a manual focus ring on it, so you can manually focus it how you need it. Right below the lens, you have your stereo microphone along with your infrared receiver for a wireless remote. And this part, for some reason, it took me so long to find where the menu button was, but it's this little wheel right here. And what's weird about that is if you're in automatic mode, so with the, we'll get to the power switch here in a bit, but with the power switch, you have auto mode, and then you can switch it to manual mode, A and M. So if you're in auto mode, you can't actually access the menu. You have to be in manual mode to access the menu. So I thought it was broken, and then I tried it with the camera being in manual mode, and it worked. So I find that part a little annoying, but you do just push in on it to access the menu, and then you can go up and down with the wheel to go up and down in the menu. And there's honestly quite a bit of things in the menu that you can adjust and check out. Nothing else really going on outside of the screen, so we'll open it up. It does have a little switch here that you push in and then you can pull out on it. Another thing that's really weird about this camera though is if you have it in record mode, or we'll say automatic or manual mode, and you have the viewfinder pushed in and the screen's closed, the camera won't turn on. So you either have to pull out the viewfinder or open up the screen, and then the camera will turn on. So you can technically leave it in manual or automatic mode. When you're done recording, you can just close the screen or push the viewfinder back into place, and the camera will kind of go into like a sleep mode, I guess you could say. So the camera turns off. So I don't know, in my opinion that's a little annoying, because if you don't want to have the screen open and still have the camera on, you can't do that. So if you want to be able to hurry and open up the screen and start recording, you can't. You have to have the camera turn on and then you can start recording. But on the inside of the screen, it does have a few buttons here, and they are some functions and they are your playback buttons. So if you're in record mode, you have your memory play, your backlight, exposure, program AE, and your fade/wipe. And then you obviously have your playback functions there as well, along with a few other buttons down here with blank search, index, print frame, and print. So if you're taking pictures and stuff, you can actually hook this camera up to a printer and print your pictures out. I don't really know why people would want to do that back in the early 2000s, but they had those options. And then you also have your FireWire in and out port here. I don't know, the one thing that kind of bothers me about it is you can't close the screen if you plug your FireWire cable into it. So you have to leave the screen open. Not that it's a big deal, but if you don't want to have the battery drain fast while you're trying to capture footage, then you can't really do that. And the camera will turn off if you try to close the screen. So I guess they kind of had to put it there. Kind of stupid, but yeah. So that's the inside of the screen. Along the back side of the camera, you obviously have the viewfinder that moves up like that, and then underneath is your focus switch wheel to focus it to your eyesight, and the battery pack. If you go right underneath the battery on the bottom side, you can push it to the right, and the battery pops out from the bottom. And if you have one of these cameras for yourself and you need a battery and a charger, I will leave a link to batteries and chargers in the description below, so that way you can get that for yourself if you already have one of these. Because looking online and looking on YouTube, there's not any videos about this camera. I've seen like one like Japanese commercial on it, and that was like the only video that was on YouTube for it. But next to the battery, you have a few more plug-ins here, and those are your headphones, you have your AV out, and your printer plug-in here, which is kind of a weird looking plug-in. I don't even know if printers have that plug-in anymore. I'm not familiar with printers, so if printers still have that little plug-in, leave a comment in the comments and let me know. But on to the power switch and record button. So this is what I mean by the automatic and manual mode. So there are two on modes, but one is in automatic and one's in manual mode. And then in the middle is off, and if you go to the bottom, it is play. And this thing, I don't know if all these other cameras, I don't know if other DV2000 cameras are this way, but this power switch is, man, it's really stiff. Like, you gotta really force it into place to get it to move. So I kind of don't like that. It's a little finicky and annoying. I feel like I'm gonna break it somehow. In the center, you have a button that you can push as your record button. Kind of weird that they left it silver and not red. You have to push the record button in really far for it to engage recording and not recording. So just tapping it, it's not gonna start recording. Like, you gotta push it all the way in for it to start. But looking at the hand strap, it is a little more worn worn out than other cameras that I have seen. This camera does have a few issues that I will get to here in a moment. So judging by that, you can kind of tell that this camera has been used quite a bit. You do have a playback speaker here right underneath the hand strap. So if you are going to watch playback with this camera, make sure you're not holding the camera like this and watching it, or else you're not going to be able to hear the audio very well. So put it on a table and pop open the screen. And then underneath that, you have a memory card slot here. And from what I have found is I think the maximum gigabyte you can use is a 16 gigabyte, and I will actually include a Canon multimedia card if you want to be able to take photos and all that. You can't record video onto it, but you can take pictures onto it. That will be included with this camera if you would like to buy it for yourself. And then on the right side still, you do have a external mic plug-in, so you can add a different kind of mic on this. Now, I don't know if you have to have a powered mic or if you can use like a Rode Video Mic Go, one that is not powered. And then you have your switch here to switch in between video and your 3 different picture modes. And on top, you also have a cold shoe / hot shoe. I've tried putting things in the cold shoe. They don't fit. There's there's a plastic piece that's sitting in there, but it's built into the camera, and I think you have to have JVC branded things that were compatible with this camera for it to actually work. So I guess the channel of where like a mic would slide into, or like a light, it's a lot skinnier than most other accessory shoes, so you can't fit things into it. So it kind of makes the cold shoe portion of it obsolete unless you can find some form of a JVC accessory that will work with the hot shoe. So I'm finding out more and more while going through this review that there's kind of a lot of dumb things with this camera. It's a good camera, but it just has a lot of stupid placements for stuff. You kind of have a little tally lamp right here, right behind the cold shoe / hot shoe. And then there's this little plastic piece right here, and that's kind of a little grip for your fingers to kind of grab onto while you are recording and zooming in and out. And talking about zooming in and out, you have your rocker zoom here. Not really a rocker zoom, it's kind of a slider zoom. This one's a little weird because it's directly center right in the middle of the camera on top. Not that it's uncomfortable, it actually works really well. It's just usually camcorders, they're always to the right side of the camera. So just kind of weird. It works fine. I think it works great, and you have decent range with it, and it's not real touchy. So it's nice and smooth. I like it. And then you have your manual focus button, so you can turn it on and off, and your snapshot or your photo button here on top. Coming along on the bottom, you have your tape eject switch here. A lot of mini DV camcorders that are small like this, they usually have the tape deck on the bottom, where it just pops open like that. I think the battery is dead, so it's not ejecting. That's how you do that. Your battery release is also on the bottom, along with the tripod mount. Now, I generally don't talk about tripod mounts because they all do the same thing, but when I was filming my test footage for this camera, I noticed that while it being on my tripod, it flexed a lot. It would move back and forth. And looking at it, where the screws are, or the threads are for the tripod mount, it's in between a pretty skinny piece of plastic. So I think you probably want to be pretty careful with this if you're going to be putting it on a tripod. I think the plastic would probably crack and break pretty easily on this if you bumped it and wiggled it around a little too much. So if you do get one of these and you plan to put it on a tripod, just be a little bit more extra careful with it. And other than that, I think that's all of the physical features on this guy. I'll let you know a couple things that is wrong with this camera. I think one of them was from my own doing, but I'm not exactly sure. The LCD screen is burned out. When I was first testing it and stuff like that, it worked completely fine. You could see the image and everything, but yesterday, before recording this video, I went out to a skate park and was riding at the skate park, and it was, I don't know, 94 degrees out, and the camera kind of felt like it was a little hot. Not like it was going to overheat or anything, but it was warm. I was keeping it in the shade and then bringing it out in the sun, kind of going back and forth. Well, once I got home, I noticed that the screen was black. I could slightly see an image, so I would take like a light or like the flashlight on my phone, and I would shine it on the LCD screen, and I could see the image. So I'm thinking that the like backlight on the LCD screen is what burned out, because the The LCD screen, it still works. You just can't see anything on it because there's no backlight lighting the LCD screen, if that makes sense. Kind of like the original Game Boy, how they didn't have a backlight on it. I'm thinking that the screen might have overheated and that portion of it might have burned out. That might be my fault, but I've never had a camcorder have the backlight on the LCD screen burn out like that. The other issue with it, and I think it's probably just because it has dirty tape heads, is it gives an error code. I think it's error code 06. It ate one of my tapes, but it also doesn't like to rewind tapes. That's another issue. I'm not sure if there's something wrong with the tape deck or if like the tape heads are just dirty or something. I'm not sure, but it did eat one of my tapes. In the footage, in the test footage, you'll see a part that's a little glitchy, and that's because it got hungry. But other than that, I mean, this camera is actually pretty cool. I know they have a 1000 version and a 3000 version, but I'm not sure how far they went along the line on this model. I don't know if there's a 4000, 5000, you know, along those lines. I will give you a couple of my opinions on it real quick. I think one of the big things for me is JVC always, their cameras generally just aren't very good. And not by like video quality standards, I'm just saying like build quality standards. They don't last very long, and even if you do pay a lot of money for them, they just seem like they're built very cheap and cheesy. Very minimal effort in building these. I don't know. They fall apart and they end up having issues, it seems like, really fast. The other thing is I hate that it powers on only when you have the screen open or the viewfinder pulled out. That part's just really annoying to me. I don't know why, but that just bothers me. It kind of feels very point and shoot, if you will. A lot of like newer camcorders, they don't even have an on and off switch for it. You just open the screen and they turn on. That's what this reminds me of, and it just makes it kind of feel cheesy. And the other thing that I don't really like about it is the cold shoe. Why would they make the cold shoe? I mean, you can see that you could put things in there, like a normal light or a mic or something, but then there's these little plastic things that keep it from you being able to put regular accessories on the accessory shoe. So the part's just really stupid to me. Why would they make it like that? I don't know. Other than that, yeah, those are kind of some of my negative opinions on it. I'm gonna have to change the segment of that to my negative opinions, my gripes about it. If you want to buy this camera for yourself, I know I just listed issues with it. On my eBay store, my good working cameras I will always sell at a set price, and then ones that have been not tested, are broken or for parts, or for whatever reason I have no way of testing it, I will usually do a bid, and I start that bid at $1. So I will be putting this camera on my eBay store for $1. As of recording this camera should be up on my eBay store starting at $1 for a bid. So if you really want it, you can go and bid on it, and you might just get yourself one of the cheapest cameras you ever got. If you have one of these for yourself, like I said before, I will leave links to batteries, chargers, mini DV tapes, video converters, a handle that will actually work with this, fisheye, and any other kind of accessories that would make this camera more fun and more enjoyable to use. So I think it's time we check out some of the video footage that comes out of this guy, shall we? So thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you like the content, make sure you subscribe, because we talk about old school retro camcorders almost on a weekly basis. And on that note, we'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.